like I'm going to hurt you, or or dominate, like I'm going to force you to do this or that. What are some of the more subtle threats and dominating types of language that we use without knowing it? Like when I'm talking to my wife Amanda, I don't actually literally threaten her, but she might feel threatened. I don't literally try to dominate, but it comes off that way.
I was interested when you mentioned intellectual domination. I thought that was an interesting concept. I actually don't know much about it, but I think it's something interesting to talk about.
Sure.
I mean, I think a simple thing is just using the second person, which is kind of you. In other words, you're automatically judging their behavior by saying you did this or you did that, as opposed to being violent, pretending to be more violent, and using I feel this or I think this, tending to be more nonviolent, although you can use the I also violent, depending on how you feel.
One of the ways I think about it is that I think a lot of times if people are being physically violent in a space, it's because they have needs that aren't being met. And so I think these two groups might be more overlapping, but it's nice to be in smaller circles. Just briefly, in case people haven't heard this before, the like technical structure of nonviolent communication, the way they might be talking about it more, focusing on it more, is that you, as I understand it, express an emotion. So I feel blank when you, and then you express an observation that's very concrete. So I feel frustrated when you left. I felt frustrated when you left the books on the table last night, and then you express a need because I need to wake up and have a non-chaotic household, non-chaotic life, and then a request. It's very explicit. So in the future, when you're done reading at night, could you please put them back on the bookshelf? And there's really interesting ways that each of those steps can be nonviolent, or can be not constructive. So, in answer to Rob, your question, like one of the things that I've really struggled with is the difference between when you're saying that emotional part, I feel something. If I say I feel ignored, or I feel abandoned, or I feel rejected, those are all words that we might think of as emotions, but which actually connote or imply an action or stance on the part of the other person. And we're evaluating certain actions as having a certain significance that person may or may not intend. I feel ignored when you don't ask me how my day is. Somebody else might just really value that being, personal space and not want to intrude. And so, focusing on, I found it really helpful if you can get your hands on the book or go to the website. They just list emotion words and familiarizing yourself with those emotion words, so you can say, get in touch with but I've been able to get in touch more with what I'm actually feeling, and then express that. I found it that people hear me much better. If I say I feel ignored, somebody might feel judgment in that, and when people feel judgment, then it makes it much harder to feel the other person's feelings, which makes it very difficult to respond to them.
So are you saying that there are certain emotion words that will elicit that from the other person that they feel judged?
Yeah, so
can you think of some? I know, because when you say,
abandoned.
With me and my wife is Katie. She gets the emotion. I really feel frustrated. Okay. I'm ready to close down. I'll try and listen for those things.
Right.
I've heard this 50 times. So, and I think a lot of us experience it.
In other words, repeating those magic phrases gets real old real fast.
Yeah, it does.
Same with us.
I think the
Same with us too.
is to be able to name what you're feeling in a way that you know why you're feeling it. like, I am feeling frustrated, then it's because. And it's how do you communicate that because in a way that's an observation, but not a judgment. I think, Rob, your question about domination, what is domination? I think it helps you look at it from the perspective of, like, am I creating and communicating a safe space for a person to express all that they need to express? And I don't think we can ever fully do that. I mean, I do that wrong all the time. But I think nonviolent communication starts in centering myself to sort of know what am I feeling and then why am I feeling it, and then how do I articulate that to another person in a way that's not judgmental. But then I have to receive them saying what's back to me. I think that's where a lot of it gets. Because, yeah, we know nonviolent communication, but how often are we communicating with other people who are trained in nonviolent communication? Like, it's easy for me to sit down with my community and say, I'm feeling this way because of this, and they know the process that we're going through. But when it's, right.
In my experience, I read that book in DC, which feels so hard for me right now. When I was in my house and my son, for example, he spilled some water on the floor, I will say like, why are you doing that? You're not supposed to do. You're just like clumsy, I try just like saying all these things to him, and all I saw from him, his response was cry or he don't want to talk to me. Instead of using the force that in this scene. But what I'm trying to say is a constant exercise that you have to discipline in yourself. I'm telling you, in my experience, I'm not perfect, because I'm still working on that, but it makes a total difference in my way of communicating with my family, in my house, with my family. I'm learning how to say, like, jealous. I used to say, like, I'm angry because I'm doing this, instead of upset.